Let's try this again. Hello, my name is Rachel. I am a wife, a mother, a teacher, and I love knitting and crocheting. And I like to film episodes or videos of myself talking about finished objects, future projects, current projects, and some acquisitions, as well as just random tidbits or insights about my life as a teacher. I teach AP African American Studies, AP US History, and AP US Government and Politics. And from time to time, my teaching experience will trickle its beautiful head into my world of knitting and crochet. And today it's no different. So let's start with the first finished object that is near and dear to my heart because it reminds me of topic 2.9 from AP African American Studies for the new framework. So I currently am working on trying to make a decision and stick to it because this project is a prime example of a person who cannot make up her freaking mind. After going through all the different ins and outs and whatnot. And I talked about this extensively in previous videos, so I'm not going to bore you with those details. What I will share with you is that Andrea Amari released another version of this pattern called Frame Your Face. And essentially it is the frame sweater, but just as a cowl. And as I shared before, I went from a sweater to a vest to like say maybe it'll be a cowl. And so fortunately she released this, and because I'm a subscriber, I got a 50% discount to purchase the pattern. So I purchased it and I read it and I was like, it's identical to the sweater. It's just that you're not doing as many blocks of the motif and you are going to have a cowl at the end instead of a sweater. So this is the finished project. And I'm not gonna lie to you, the first time I pulled it off of those the blocking mats, I was not feeling it. I was like, what did I do? And I'm not wearing it the way that she wears hers in her. I would try my best to insert a picture. If not, you can go into Raverly or her Instagram or her website and you can see it. But essentially this is how I plan to wear. I typically wear my any neck gear like this anyway, so this is perfectly within my wheelhouse. And I like the fact that the two colors are kind of contrasting and the popping out, so that part is really standing out to me. But when I initially put this on, I'm like, oh, I need like a shawl pin, and I don't have a shawl pin, but I do have this beautiful pen. I'm going to try to lean in closer. So this is a pen that was gifted to me for my department chair for Black History Month. And when I saw it, when I remembered I had, I'm like, this is a perfect pen because this directly connects to one of the reasons why I wanted to make this particular item. Plus, it is small enough and it blends in well enough into it where it's not the main focal. I want the main focal point to be on this. So I still see myself wearing this at work. I still have the outfit. I already know how I'm going to rock it. I may even buy a blue shirt to go with this as well. So all in all, very happy with my decision to stick with that and finish that. And I'm glad it's off the needles. So that way I can focus my attention on other projects because that one was taking up way too much mental space. I have talked extensively about it, but after today, I will not be saying anything else about frame. All in all, just to recap about the pattern, it is definitely a well-written pattern. It is clear. The motif is easy to follow, and I definitely think it's beginner friendly for someone who's looking to do color work. You need to take in consideration that it has a significant amount of positive ease, and so be really intentional about selecting your size and then making sure that if you're going to be doing using a weight of yarn that the pattern doesn't call for, that you do a gauge swatch to make sure that again you're picking the proper size, because I went too big and I definitely it was not going to be flattering, because if I were to have finished this as a sweater, it would be way oversized. It would look like a box on me rather than an oversized, slightly oversized garment. So that's just some things to take in consideration if you were to do the frame. But I am happy to report that it is off my needles. I'm looking forward to wearing it at Rhinebeck and being a part of the experience of taking the major photograph with everyone. And I will be posting that particular item in the Google Sheet as well, because you can, not the Google Sheet, on the Ravelry page, so that way I can share with everyone my finished object, because I'm super proud of myself in the end for persevering through the project, although it didn't come out exactly the way I wanted it to. A project that I am excited about the progress I made are my socks. I watched Michael from Peace, who talks extensively about his sock knitting, and he always knits his socks 2 at a time. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just give it a whirl. I've talked about it many times. I haven't actually done it. So finally, just to say, you know what? I'm going to do it. And I was working, because I didn't want to get second sock syndrome, I went ahead and cast on the second sock, and I decided to work it to the point of the first sock. So I was working and working and working it, and I got it to the point of the first sock. And then after I finished the back of the stockinette portion, I went ahead and stopped there and then picked up stitches to do the back portion of this first sock. Was able just to come around. So I went this way, and then I came around to the front, and then I went ahead and came around to the second part of the front. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it. And to be honest with you, it's making slow and steady progress. But I know for a fact, if I were to do this separately, I would quit. And the reason why I know this is that sometimes you just lose your momentum when certain projects, after you've been working on it for a little while, or if it's like me, I just get distracted because there are other socks I really want to cast on. I am itching to do a self-striping sock, and I just really I can't cast on the self-striping strike until I finish this one. So I'm really hopeful that I can get this finished by next weekend. And if I keep up with this is going to become my work knit again. It was supposed to be my work knit, but the other semi-finished, almost there, finished object it has been my work knit. So let me tell you about that one. Let me put that over there. So I'm working on the Forjola. I believe that's how it's pronounced. I asked some fellow knitters what it was for my last knitting group meeting online, and we looked up the meaning of the word, and it means snowflake in Albanian. And so I'm like, okay, snowflake. So the translation of this is it's called a Forjola, and the translation of it is Albanian. But I, as you can see, I've made some great progress on the body. I have actually knit the length that the pattern suggests. I'm going to add on an additional inch, hopefully 2, if my yarn will stay with me. So right now I am working on both the body and the collar at the same time using the same skein of yarn, because I have exactly 2 full skeins left that I'm hoping to do the sleeves with, because I noticed in the past when I've done pullovers that the sleeves tend to take a full skein of yarn, unless I'm doing a deep drop shoulder. Like if the drop shoulder is super deep, then that's what I'm going to do. But this is not a deep drop shoulder, so I think I will need to make sure that I have plenty of yarn. So I'm going to stick to that. The fortunate thing is that the collar does not call for lots of inches of a collar. It actually calls for about less than an inch. So I think I will have enough yarn for that, because that's about 5 inches, not 5 inches, about 5 rounds of knitting and around that I think I need to do. And other than that, this is working up to be really a beautiful garment. I can definitely see myself wearing this in a couple of weeks, because we're getting some colder weather. And so today would have been ideal for that, given the type of weather we had today. And hopefully I will be able to wear it soon. This will definitely be something I can see myself wearing at Rhinebeck in a couple weeks. So yeah, happy about the progress on this, coming along. Should be finished by this weekend. The goal is tonight to finish the collar and the body, and then tomorrow pick up the stitches for it and do the sleeves 2 at a time. I figure since I can do my socks at the 2 at a time, I could do my sleeves 2 at a time. So really excited about that. That's happening. And the reason why I feel like I'm kind of pushing myself to hurry up with these projects is because I am ready to do some knit-alongs. I have signed up for 3 different knit-alongs. So the first one being the frame knit along with Andrew Amari. And as you can see, I've just finished a project, so I will be posting those finished results with them on that particular knit along page, and just continuing to join in the conversation, because it has been fun to see everyone's project and hearing about their progress. So I'm still going to do that one. But the other knit along I joined is being hosted by Kaci. It's called the Mosaic Mayhem. I'm really excited about that one. That particular knit along invites you to pick whatever mosaic pattern that you're interested in, and then go ahead and join in. And I just finished the artist shawl, which is a mosaic shawl, and I fell in love with that mosaic knitting and had a really great time. And I did the tessellated vest last year, had a really great time with that. And so there's another mosaic pattern that I've been itching to do, and it's called the Pressed Flowers Cowl. I've heard a variety of different things about this particular pattern, or a series of patterns, both good and not so constructive feedback. I wouldn't say it's bad, but just like constructive feedback where some of the stitch count does not match up for what the expected outcome would be. But based on a yardage requirement for this particular pattern, I think I will be able to not only make a cowl, but also make a hat with my leftover yarn. That's my goal. The pattern calls for about 200 yards in one color and about 220 yards in the second color for the size that I plan to do. And I decided to go bold with this. I'm still in my neon color phase right now. My nails, as you can see, are representing that. So I had bought this yarn from Needles at the Ready. It seems like a lot of the yarns I'm going to talk about or have talked about are all from Needles at the Ready. But anywho, this is their pistachio yarn. It's this beautiful, it is like a pistachio green, but there's also a speck of orange and brown and there's a little like highlight of blue, yellow in it. I think there's like a pop of pink. Yep, there's a little pop of pink. So it's little speckles of colors that are in this one that come out randomly. And then I have this beautiful Surrey alpaca yarn that I purchased from a local yarn store in St. Johnsbury, Vermont. And when I saw it, I was like, well, I got to get it. And I thought it would go so well together because by the point when I purchased this, I already got this in the mail. And I know that they're going to pair well together. And they do. I already did a quick swatch just to make sure I like the way that they look together. And I couldn't put it down. I was like, I'm going to knit it now. But I'm going to wait. And so like my expectation is I'm going to do the Mayhem. I'm going to do the Pressed Flowers cowl using this yarn as one color and using this yarn as my second. This gives me a lot of this like Barbie girl vibes. I'm like, I don't know what I was thinking, but I'm here for it. I'm going to go for it and see what happens. So I'm just going to give it a whirl. This is definitely outside of my wheelhouse, outside of my comfort zone, but I had no plans whatsoever with this yarn, and it's been sitting in my collection since Rhinebeck. And I thought, how wonderful would it be to be at Rhinebeck for one of the days to have one of the yarns that I purchased there. Although my Andrea Murray cowl also, it was the yarn that I used in that. Some of it was from the Rhinebeck Festival too, so I still would have that. But all in all, I'm really am excited about the choice to use this yarn because again, it is outside of my comfort zone and what I usually would use, but I'm excited about this. So this is going to be my September 1st cast on. My second September 1st cast on is for the Hoagie Locatelli Ready for Fall cowl. There were several patterns that I had considered to enter for this particular knit along. The first one being the Cloud Peak cardigan. And after some hemming and hawing and going back and forth with myself, I realized the Cloud Peak just wasn't a good option. Although it is absolutely beautiful. The sample that Hoagie Locatelli shows it's beautiful. I love it. However, I didn't get gauged the first time. And so I was trying to finagle it. And then I went ahead and cast on and it was working it. And it was too small. Like I can just tell by the back it was going to be small. And I already have one cardigan that I made that is a tight one that I still love and to attach to not to throw out, but to donate. But it's not a comfortable cardigan to wear. And I just didn't want that to happen with the Cloud Peak cardigan. So, which is a reason why I decided not to use that as my entry because I was going to do it as my entry from last year. And it got as far as doing the back shaping, like you do like this bell shape in the back, and then you pick up stitches for the front and you knit to the length required in the pattern or to your desired length. And then you pick up stitches to do the button band. And then you do the button band in this cable motif, which it makes this beautiful cable shawl-like collar. And then you do your sleeves where it's all stockinette going down until you get towards the cuff, and then you have this long cable that is integrated into the cuff. And you do it on both sides, and then you do the pockets where again there is an opportunity to have the cable motif. There is I don't know why I kept saying motif, but the cable stitches as well. So beautiful pattern, definitely like it. I don't know. I'm just not ready. I don't want to do it. I'm not a process knitter. I'm not a product knitter. I am a whatever my body or my mind, hands, whatever feels, and I'm just not feeling it. And I'm not going to force myself to do a project because it's been on my wheelhouse. Maybe in the future I would do it. I need, given the amount of indecision that I've been feeling of lately, I really need to work on a project that I can just make a decision and stick to the decision. Because now that we're about to start the school year and my kids are going back to school and my husband may be going back to work, I really just need some engaging but not overly stimulating projects that stress me out. And as easy as it is to knit the cloud peep, because it looks like it's just straight stockinette in the back and the front, and then it's just the button band and the sleeves that are going to cause for a little bit more pattern intricacy. I want to do that, but I just don't want to do it right now, especially by the deadline of having it finished by November. So that one, I'm just going to, that one I decided not to enter in. The second one that I recently just made a decision not to enter in is the scoop sweater. I had actually signed up to put the scoop in as that, and was all on board about it. It's a stripe sweater, and I really want to knit a stripe sweater. I'm fiending to knit a stripe sweater. And so I was like, yes, this is it. I can finally use it. And I have this beautiful Sorella yarn that I purchased. Oh my God, it's absolutely stunning. It is so soft. The ivory is 80% superwash, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. And the green is 50% silk and 50% superwash yarn. And both yarns have a significant amount of yardage. The ivory is 435 and the green is 438. And both are on a sock length item. So love the yarn. I just can't wait. I just want it on me. However, when I did the swatch, I was like, yes, I can see myself wearing an ivory and green this. I can see myself going to work in this outfit with a pair of black dress slacks or even a black pair of leggings with my boots. I had the whole outfit in my mind. I can still envision it now, but I keep going back and forth with myself about it. Every time I'm saying yes to this, an hour, if not 2 or 5 minutes later, I'm changing my mind. And because I've been so back and forth with this, I'm tired of it. And then I wanted to shut my brain up about it. I made another swatch of other similar quantities of yarn because I didn't want another issue of chicken, because I saw what happened and I can't make every sweater into a KAL. And so because I already played yarn chicken with one sweater, I decided to say, like, although there are other beautiful colors I would love to use, like I have this beautiful pink yarn that would be perfect, and it's the same base as ivory, but I only have one skein of it, and Sorella isn't selling anymore, so it doesn't make sense to pick that as my color. I can finagle it by picking some random yarns that have some close similarities to it, but that's not the goal of this project. So what I decided to do was to go through my collection and see which ones have the same quantity of yarn and quality of yarn, making sure that there's similar texture to it, because sometimes when I wear something that has two different textures, I just don't feel very comfortable in it. My skin has developed a little bit of a sensitivity, and I want to be mindful of that as well. So these are the three contrasting colors I was able to find in my collection. I have enough of the quantity, and I wouldn't mind the way it would feel on my skin. So this one is a Cascade Heritage. The color is Bordeaux. This one is it's a Spanish name. I can't pronounce it because I'm horrible at pronouncing things to begin with. But yeah, I know, great teacher. But anywho, it's this beautiful charcoal yarn that I purchased. It's like 60 or 70% alpaca, and then the other percentage is a wool. And it's very beautiful, very lightweight. But the issue with this one is that it is very splitty. Like, as you can see, let me bring this color closer. Like, this is just a swatch, and this is after wet blocking. And look how easy the yarns come in. Like, it's definitely a loose ply. So because of that, that's what makes me hesitant about using that yarn. Like I have to be on my A game, and I have to be very clean about weaving in my ends, and I probably would have to use fabric glue for that one. So that's something to keep in mind. And the final color is from Needles at the Ready. This is it's fall y'all yarn. I bought about 4 or 5 skeins of that yarn because the goal was to make the cinema sweater. But again, I changed my mind, because that's what I apparently do, and decided to use that yarn to make the Jessie May mini mock neck tank. And I was going to convert that into a dress because I wanted a knitted maxi dress. And because that didn't end up happening, I ended up just making the top. I still have about 3.5 of the skeins of that yarn left. As you can see, I have a ball of it over here. There it is. I have a ball of it over here that I'm thinking about holding it double and making into a blanket. Just taking all of my fingering weight yarn that I really don't have any plans for and just turning it into a blanket. Is this a record? Okay, good. And so that's what, so anyway, this is why I end up doing the swatch. And even after doing this 2 swatches, I have come to the realization that although I have gauge, yay, I'm just not really feeling the color options I have in my collection, and I don't want to go out and procure more yarn for a pattern that I'm not even super excited about. I purchased it initially because it thought it was beautiful. It is still beautiful. However, it's just not, I'm just not really feeling it. And maybe my mind might change. So although I own it, I can always come back to it later or gift the pattern to someone else who will definitely knit it. The 2 patterns I am fully committed to knitting and will be casting on September 1st is the Emery vest. It is a all over cable vest that I'm very excited to do. And with this particular pattern, as I mentioned in previous video, that it has both the pullover and the pattern. And so, and pullover and the vest all within one pattern. And so I'm really excited about it. I've read through the pattern a few times and the chart is really clear. The directions are clear. She has both the written and the charted version of it as well. So I'm going to do, and you can make a decision after you knit the vest, essentially, if you want to just pick up for sleeves. Like that's how well she wrote the pattern. So it gives you the option of that. And she didn't charge you extra for it. It was $9 for two patterns and one for $9. So I decided to knit the vest in black. I've heard various stories about knitting in dark colors, but even Norland, made this point too. And that's my sentiment as well. When you knit a cabled item using dark yarn, it's really beautiful. And I have definitely seen some cable sweaters that's in black that I absolutely love. And I really want a black garment. I made a black cardigan and I love it. And now I'm ready to make a black vest. And I hope by the end of the year or the beginning of next year to make a black pullover as well. That's definitely something I'm hoping will end up being added to my wardrobe, because I realized I don't have a black pullover. So I have some options for some projects I can do, which I'll talk about in another video. I don't want this one to be too long, but I am excited that I will at least have the vest, and I have a couple of tops in my closet that will look beautiful underneath it. And it's definitely something I could potentially wear in a different season when I'm in that transitional weather. So the vest is going to be cast on in in 24 hours. I'm excited about that. In addition to doing the vest, I finally got the courage to knit the Instant Crush. Instant Crush is what drew me to purchasing the booklet. And if you're interested in learning more about the Ready for Fall, y'all, Ready for Fall 2, I don't know why I said that. Ready for Fall 2. It's a series of patterns that Hilgi Locatelli put together last fall. I highly encourage you to check out that particular ebook, because every single pattern in that ebook, I believe it's 6 patterns. It's a Cloud Peak cardigan, the hat, the socks, the shawl, and the Instant Crush. So 5. And so of all 5 patterns, you naturally want to knit. The shawl is at the bottom because I just don't like shawl knitting, but it is definitely beautiful. And if I was a shawl knitter, I would knit that. I am actually still tempted to knit that, and that's how much I liked it. The socks I made and fell in love with and want to make another pair. It's a beautiful lace motif on the front and then a stockinette on the back. You hold it with a DK weight yarn and mohair. Love, love, love. So that's there. And then the hat, which I actually made 2 of those. It was 2 or 3. I made a couple of them. I made a couple of the hats. The hats work up really quick because you use an Aran bulky weight yarn and they whip up really quickly, and it's really great directions, and it has a cool crown effect that you do. Definitely love that one. Can't wait to knit that again because I definitely enjoyed that particular knit. It was a great palette cleanser. That's why I liked it. And the Instant Crush. I already told you about Cloud Peak. I'm not going to talk about, but the Instant Crush one was what attracted me to the pattern. I love the colors, which is the reason why I purchased a kit from Mad Pipe Fibers. Then I got an email from them saying, oh, the kit was canceled. And I was like, oh. So I've reached out to Pick Up Every Stitch, which is located in Co. New York, and they sent me a kit, and then Magpie Fibers like, your kit is shipping. I was like, wait a second, you told me that my order was canceled. And they're like, oh no, we don't know what you're talking about. So I ended up having 2 kits of it. And with the kit that I got from Pick-a-Berry Stitch, I ended up using it for another project. The yarn that I got ended up going into other projects. So, but the yarn I got from Magpie has just been sitting there, and I'm like, well, do I want to cast it on? And I made the realization, like, you will be holding mohair, and typically mohair doesn't always agree with the my skin. I noticed that sometimes when I use mohair and I'm wearing it, it can be a little itchy on my neck, and I really don't enjoy that. However, I have been using a new wool wash from Sorella Yarns actually, and I'm noticing that my garments aren't feeling as itchy, and maybe because I'm letting it soak longer, or I think that might be it. I am letting my yarn soak a little bit longer, and so maybe that's the reason why. But all in all, I am super excited about doing this, and initially I had planned to do it in the exact colors as her sample, but then I changed my mind. And what changed my mind was actually more yarn, yarn from Needles at the Ready. They had gifted me Brooklyn Tweed loft, almost said shelter, Brooklyn Tweed shelter yarn. And so this is what it looks like caked up. I'm going to try to get as close as possible. As you can see, there's a little speckle. Hopefully you can see that. There's little speckles of pink in it, little dark patches of brown. It's just beautiful. It's very rustic. So I was very hesitant about using this. In fact, it's just been sitting on my shelf for days, weeks, months. And finally, I have an idea about what to use it for, because this yarn is almost identical in color to the yarn I got from Magpie Fiber. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, to help me build up my confidence in using mohair as the primary color, I decided to hold those 2 yarns together for the collar and for as the main color. And the other colors, I have this beautiful alpaca yarn that I purchased from Brooklyn General. This is from a yarn store, not a yarn store, a farm local to them. And so they sent them the yarn, and so here we go. So this is one of my colors. The second color I'm going to do is going to be Surrey alpaca, because one of the colors you only need 175. So I'm going to hold this double. Initially I was going to hold this double, but then I realized that holding it double gives it more of a worsted weight, because this is a thick Surrey. So I'm going to start out with holding it single, and if I find that it's just not popping out the way it's supposed to, and I'll hold it double. But then if it starts puckering, then I'm going to hold it single, because one thing that someone who's much more experienced in knitting with color work had mentioned on a podcast I had watched, what's the name, Max from Lego Songs. He was talking about how using a smaller weight yarn, or a lighter weight yarn, when the main color is a heavyweight and the lighter color, or the contrasting color, is a lighter weight, when you're doing I'm sorry, I'm at the words. When you're doing color work, the lighter weight doesn't pucker as often because of some fiber content. So because of that little tidbit he shared, I'm like, let me test that out. I tested it out, and he was right, because when I did that for the Stitches sweater, that was the first time I did color work where there was 0 puckering at all. And maybe because I'm getting better at color work, and that's the reason why, but I don't know. He could be right. Maybe it could be me, or maybe it's a combination. This is my 3rd color. And so this yarn is already going into another Hoagie Lucky Telly pattern that I'm going to talk about in a moment. But this will be my 3rd contrasting color. I did, however, remember that if I should run, I'm going to be doing the Solari, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. So if I need to, I may have to pull this out of this particular pattern. The good thing is that I need less than 200 yards of this. So I think I can get away with using this yarn. In case I can't, I would be doing this dark gray. And I really am feeling the dark gray as well. So that might end up being it as well. Who knows? One can change her mind at any time. But I'm really excited that I finally have the courage and the excitement to knit Instant Crush. I think it's going to be a fabulous, fun knit. It's going to challenge me because it's color work. I'm using a weight yarn that I'm not accustomed to using in most projects. I use it sparingly. However, knitting the Frajola and then knitting the frame and knitting a couple other fingering weight patterns has definitely boosted me into thinking like maybe I can be a fingering weight knitter. I don't need to always be worsted, because now I'm gravitating more towards DK weight. Plus, I also want to mention that at sometimes in life, one has extreme body temperature issues, and because of that, by knitting with a lighter weight yarn, I find that I can successfully wear the garment without feeling uncomfortable as my body temperature may fluctuate. So that's another reason why I've been leaning more towards fingering weight yarns rather than DK and worsted. So DK is partly as far as heavy as I want to get as I continue to move forward in my life journey. So, and Stick Crush is my second project I hoped I will be casting on for the knit along, and the final project that I'm casting on for the knit along that's going to help me with my cables, but also help me with my stripe effect, is the Solari pullover. So this is, hopefully I can insert a picture of this, but this is a beautiful cable at the top and just stockinette at the bottom. So you work the yoke, and then after you finish the yoke, you do just straight stockinette in the body. And I was first introduced to this pattern by Kim from Knit Together from Ken and Jonna, and she did such an amazing job, and I got a chance to see it in person. I was like, I'm sold. I'm buying this pattern. I'm going to try knitting it. Never found the time or the right yarn to knit it. I went back and forth. I thought about doing it in black. I thought about doing it in all those different worsted weight yarns that are behind me, including several that I had already, designated for another project. And in the end, I just realized I was too indecisive about which yarns to use, which is why the pattern was put on hold. But when I heard that she being Hoagie Locatelli, was hosting another knit along for the fall, I'm like, you know what? This is a perfect time to do it, because otherwise I'm going to constantly go back and forth. And this time I decided to do a fade. I've always wanted to do a faded garment. I love the way they look. I love the way the colors blend so well together. And I have a kit that I purchased from last year in order to make the Stephen West shawl. So Stephen West came out with the shawl that he does, the mystery shawl, and Moonglow made a kit for it. And I had 4 or 5 skeins of this fade of purple, where you start out with the light purple to fade to a dark purple. So let me show you. Here it is. And so I made a swatch. I've told myself if I'm really going to do this, I should make a swatch just to make sure I like it, because I didn't want to commit to this yarn and realize I didn't like it, and then having to scramble and pick other worsted weight yarn or DK weight yarn for this, because the pattern you can use worsted or light worsted or heavy DK. So with that said, this is my fade. Love it. So I'm going to use the pink. It's more lilac, and I'm going to start off the collar for that first, and then when I'm ready to transition from this color, I'm holding it double. I'm going to use the Sorella yarn I purchased that has Stellina in it, and I'm going to use that as my transition, because that particular yarn has every color in the shawl kit that I purchased, and the shawl kit had over 1,000 yards of yarn, and for the size I'm doing, I need 1,100. Obviously, I'm going to bump it up to 1,200 because you never know. Plus, I made a fairly large swatch, and so my very last color, both my when I get to the bottom part, as well as my hem and my cuffs, as well as I'm going to knit using my needles at the ready eggplant. So this is this beautiful rich purple, and I already put this into, I'm like, will it actually work? And here it is at the bottom, and I really like the fade. It's subtle, it's definitely my style, and it has all of my favorite variations of purple in it, and so I'm excited about that. That was the one I was most worried about changing my mind. I didn't think Scoop was going to give me as much trouble. I thought Scoop was going to be the one I was going to like, yes, because I love the Sorella yarn that I purchased, and I just knew this was a no-brainer that I'm clearly going to do that. I didn't think I would be second guessing myself so much with that pattern. But And I thought the one I was going to be second guessing myself the most about was the Sorelli, excuse me, because of the fade. And I've always been like, oh, I can't do it because I made every excuse known to man as to why I can't do a faded sweater. So I didn't think it was going to go down. So it really warms my heart. Not only is it going down, but I'm still excited about it, even after all these days of doing the swatch for it as well. So on Sunday, I'm going to come in this room and I'm going to sit by myself after I make my family breakfast and get my son situated because we still have that Monday off. I'm going to sit and cast on the Emery vest, the Sorelli, and the um, faded Sorelli. That's what I want to call it. And the Insta Crush. My goal on Sunday is to do the collar for all three. Now with the Emery sweater, I have to go back and look, but it doesn't look like I'm doing the collar first. It looks like I'm doing the back and picking up stitches for the front. And if that's the case, then I may cast that one last and just do the collars for both Instant Crush and for the Sorelli yarn. So that way the collar sometimes can be my reason why I kind of quit a pattern. So hence the reason why Arctic Light is just sitting there. And so that's partly what I'm going to end up doing the collar for that, and then cast on for the Emery vest, because that's the one I think I can knit the fastest because it's worsted weight. It's only a vest. There's no sleeves. I think it's going to work up faster. So that's the one I'm going to prioritize first. And then I'm going to work Instant Crush in chunks. And so like my first day of knitting it, I'm going to do the collar, and I'm going to commit to like that whole time is just doing the collar in that first part of the yoke, that where the color work doesn't start. And when the color work starts, I'm going to stop myself. And then when I have time, I'm going to do the next chunk of color work that I need to do. And looking at the charted pattern, I can definitely break it into sections. So I'm hoping if I section it off, I can successfully complete it. The other thing I can do is give myself 30 days, like 30 days to knit the vest, 30 days to knit the Solari, and then 30 days to do Instant Crush, because I can also do Instant Crush over Thanksgiving break. So those are going to be my three patterns for the Hoagie Lucky Telly Ready for Fall 3 knit along. I'm very excited about that. A little disappointed that I couldn't get Scoop working, but I'm also knowing myself and I just don't want to force it. So it's all good. I'm excited about these other projects I have coming up, and my hope is that by November I will have at least 2 sweaters in my drawers, if not 3. And if I can continue to build up my sweater collection, that would be great, because we do have more colder months here in Massachusetts than anywhere. And I would love to dress more like an adult, where I'm not wearing hoodie sweatshirts every day to work because of my body temperature situation. Because I almost 3 out of 5 days a week I'm wearing a hoodie sweatshirt. And now that I got this new one, which this is my favorite, I love this one right now. I still am going to knit this zipper sweater, but unfortunately the purchase of this has definitely caused me to feel less inclined to knit the zipper sweater, because this is essentially what I wanted, like the fabric, like this is it. So hopefully I will still cast on the zipper sweater, because right now it's not looking too good. At least if it's not for me, maybe for someone else. And that might be something I'm going to do for the year 2025, because I don't need a whole bunch of sweaters as well. But I can always, I did get rid of a whole bunch of clothes that I had in my closet and drawers. And so I now need to replenish that so that way I can actually have something of professional wear to wear. And I also have these amazing social justice t-shirts that I want to that will work well with a cardigan. So but I want the cardigan to enhance what I'm wearing, not hide what I'm wearing. So with all that said, I have some really excited plans, and I'm just so grateful for this. And I'm hoping that once I feel confident or with my collection of sweaters where I don't need to knit as many, to take on more intricate knits. And one of the knits I've been thinking the most about, which I'm going to run back with the intention of purchasing, is the Bloom pullover. It's a fingering weight yarn. It's very busy, but it's stunning, and it's not going to be something I'm going to be doing instantly. Like these patterns by Andrea Amari, Hoagie Locatelli, who's another big petite knit, Though their patterns, although beautiful, they're simple. They're something that you can do within 1 to 3 months. I've never made any in the beginning of my knitting career, yes, it did take me about 2 to 3 months to knit those. But now that I am more confident and more comfortable in understanding about what to do and how to knit things, it doesn't take me that long. And so because I'm not, I'm a little bit faster, uh, I just want to do something that's going to withstand, withhold, that I can do for an extended period of time. And so, you know, those particular major knitwear designers, you can knit those garments up pretty quickly. Veronica Lindbergh, her those test knits I did for her, I did those within 2 to 3 weeks. One of them I literally did in 2.5 weeks because it what the simplicity of it. And when you're doing something in stockinette like this particular pattern, what took me the longest was the lace motif. But once I learned it, it doesn't take that long. So I'm not saying that just to be like, like, oh, I'm so awesome. I'm just saying that I really want to knit a pattern that I know I could not finish within 2 months. I want to knit a pattern that's going to challenge me so much where it's going to take me about 3 to 4 months to do, because I want to work on that one sweater and then have socks, because my goal is to increase my sock collection. But that's another story for another day. I This is already longer than what I had intended, so I'm just going to wrap things up by sharing what I am listening to and reading, and just a recap about what projects I talked about. So currently, I am listening/reading the book "KALs" by Isabel Wickerson. Yeah, I said that right. Isabel Wickerson. I have watched the movie about the origins of the story a few days ago. Love the movie. It made me very emotional, but I'm like, I have this book, I have the audiobook. I've only did minor interactions with different excerpts from her writing. I now really want to dive into it more. Now that I don't know, the movie sparked a curiosity, and then the interview with Ava DuVernay. I'm sorry saying it right, but anyway, the movie with the director Ava, it really like sparked a deeper curiosity about the book because of some of the things she said in her interview about the books. And then I'm like, I just need to read it. So I'm glad I'm reading it. I'm on part 3 of the book. And between listening to the audiobook and reading it, I am getting through it faster than what I had anticipated, but I'm still able to take my notes. So love it. So, so good. And I thought it might be too much for me because I just read How the Word is Passed, and I'm reading this, and I have read some other like really intense, uh, heavy books, but it's been all good. So I'm glad for that. So that's what I'm reading and listening to. I'm also just listened to the book called The Rom-Commers by Catherine Sinner. I really enjoy Catherine Sinner's books. Her books are light entertainment with a little bit of drama flair in there. She definitely will spark some type of emotion, whether it be laughter or happiness or something of that night. So I definitely have enjoyed listening to her books. So just listen to Rom-Commers. It was actually pretty entertaining. I was actually sad it was over. I keep saying actually, sorry about that. I was a little disappointed when it was over because I wanted the story to keep going because I was just enjoying it so much. That's one of the reasons why my sock knitting got done so quickly, because where I was at, because I was so engaged with the story. So now when I was picking up, I was like, oh, I can't help but think about it. But I do have another book that I plan to listen to later on. I can't remember the title of it. It's a part of a series, and so we'll see if it will engage me, and hopefully that can be my next sock knitting, because cast is definitely for this one, and that will be for that. And as far as watching, not really watching anything right now. My husband's trying to get me to watch the Power of the Rings, or the television series based on the Lord of the Rings. So eventually I will sit down and watch it with him. I didn't like last season, so I'm not too motivated to watch this season, but I'm going to rewatch last season and see if that will help get me excited about it. And I also plan to watch, what is the other show? Oh, Love Country. Yeah. It's been on my queue to watch, and way one of my coworkers was talking it up. I'm like, I need to watch it, whatnot. So I think I'm going to sit and watch that one as well. So I probably wait till my husband wants to watch that because I heard that it's like a horror hard horror. There it is, and he loves horror movies, and so that's not my jam. And I know it's not a movie, it's a television show, but I figure we can watch it together or do something together while I'm knitting. So those are the things I'm going to be reading. That is what I'm reading and watching and listening to. And just to recap, the patterns that I talked about today were the Seafarer Socks by Summer Lee. It is a pattern in her book called The Sock Project. I am also proud to announce I finished the sweater slash vest slash KAL called Frame. And now that it is fully off of my needles, I am going to look forward to wearing it to Rhinebeck. I am currently knitting the Fojola pullover, which is a lace motif that goes down from your neck to your arms. And I plan on casting on the Solari, the Emery vest, and Instant Crush, all made by Helga Locatelli. And I also plan to cast on the Pressed Flowers Cowl by Amy Christophs. So, and I know I'm saying some names wrong, so please forgive me, but I'm really excited about these future opportunities. It is 10:20 p.m., so I'm a little tired because I've been up since 6. So I'm going to wrap this up and just say thank you so much for spending 40 plus minutes with me to hear about my current knits and whips. And I will talk to you soon. See you next time. Bye.